What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to show you how to change the juice on your vape as well as refill it. Now, how I refill it. So pretty much, guys, this particular vape atomizer is by Smoke without an E. So it's pretty much the only thing you got to do is unscrew this. Whoops. Yeah, you don't want to drop it like that because you can crack the reservoir. So there's the actual tank. Now, pretty much my tank leaks weirdly. If yours does too, let me know in the comment box below. I heard that vapes are known to leak. Every vape leaks, but I don't know how legitimate that is. But anyways, so if you have the same problem, tell me in the comment box below. Anyways, so pretty much emptying your tank is a pretty simple process. Now, this is how I typically do it. You guys can see here I have an empty soup cup. I'm going to go ahead and just dump it in there. Because this juice is not going to be reused, because this juice is actually contaminated. It's got this like weird little white speck inside of it. So I'm going to go ahead and just completely remove that and clean it up, because that is disgusting. So this is considered a contaminated vape tank right now. This thing has been contaminated all day long. I've been smoking all day long too. So, you know, it's not the best thing. Now pretty much what you want to do is just take the bottom of your tank and you want to just put it on a little bit of a cloth. There's the soup cup. What you want to do is just dump that shit right out, all the contamination and everything. And that's pretty much it. Now at this point, what you can do is you can actually clean out all that gunk inside of the reservoir and get it freshly clean. Now pretty much you guys can see mine's all gunked up. When you look through it, there's a little bit of specks of stuff, and the actual mouthpiece here is dirty as well. I'm going to clean that out. You have to do that quite a bit with these things because they get really dirty. And that's pretty much it. Now, pretty much what I like to do is go ahead and get a fresh napkin, one's not being used. And we're just going to go ahead and wipe this down. Just going to wipe down all the surfaces, all the metal, and we just want to clean this thing up completely. Want to make sure it looks nice, bone dry. And then we can go ahead and, if you want to, you can go ahead and wipe out the inside of the tank. It's not really a necessity, but if you want it to be as fresh and clean as possible, you can go out and wipe out the tank. In my case, the white speck is gone. I'm going to guess it's probably in this little bit of juice I dumped out, which is a very tiny bit left. So that's pretty much fine. Now, when you do work with this stuff, you do want to wear gloves because you can easily damage your skin that way. It even says it on the bottle. So pretty much do not do what I'm doing and use bare hands. But in my case, I'm actually a little bit experienced at this, so I know how to avoid getting my hands contaminated. But I recommend you actually using a pair of gloves. Now pretty much what I figured out is the best tool to really use for this is a screwdriver. A screwdriver will actually allow you to drive the go on the inside of the tank. And, you know, you can completely just go in. Let's go ahead and get a ball. Got to ball up the napkin a little bit. And you just want to try to shove it in without tearing all the way through the napkin. And you just want to go ahead and do that. Now, pretty much what will happen is the whole entire thing will come right off. The whole entire tank itself. Now what we can go ahead and do is we can wipe this thing up completely. So that's pretty much how to get this off safely. This is a glass piece, so you want to be careful with it. Now what you can go ahead and do is take your screwdriver and you want to just go ahead and ball up the napkin, and you just want to get up in there. Drive as much of it through as possible, and then what you want to do is twist it around in there just like this, and you want to get all that gunk out of there. You want this thing to be completely clean. This thing is really gunked up because it's never really been cleaned before. So yeah, that's what happens. You want to make sure you keep this thing clean, because all that stuff is going to get in your lungs and stuff, and it's not really that good of a thing. You know, the vape itself, people consider that dangerous, so just imagine this little bit of gunk going into your lungs. And you also want to be careful when doing this, because you don't want to damage the rubber seal around it, because then your vape will leak. So you want to make sure that you take that into account. Now I'm going to go ahead and just continue to do this, and I'm going to fully clean it up on my own time here. I'm going to do a video edit really quick. That way this thing will be clean and we'll be back to reassembly. Alright, so I got a lot of the gunk out. You guys can see how thick that gunk was on the inside. Look at that thing. That thing is gnarly. So that's, just imagine that right there, how dirty this thing was. Hopefully you don't let yours go as far as mine. You want to clean up all the napkin bits as well. You want this thing to be completely clean. And then pretty much when you look through it, if it's actually nice and clean, mine needs a little bit more work. I'm going to go ahead and do that really quick. Alright, so if you take a look through it and it looks completely clean to your liking, then you're pretty much good. We can go ahead and do the reassembly process. Now we use this napkin to prevent anything from soaking out. So now what we want to do is go ahead and start the reassembly of this. So we want to go ahead and put the tank right back on there, just like that. And pretty much it seats over the seal, and that seal will keep things from leaking. And then we take a look down at this piece here. This piece is filthy. I'm actually going to guess that's a rubber ring. Yep, that's actually a rubber seal. That's not actually gunk or anything. So I'm going to guess that's a seal, right? Yep, that's rubber. Alright, so that's a seal, and it looks like I figured out why my vape is leaking, because there's actually a little... this seal is starting to break down, so that means I need a new atomizer at some point. But this is perfectly fine for now. So that kind of explains the reason why mine is leaking. Now what we want to do is just go ahead and screw it in. And we want to just get it as tight as possible. You want to use a napkin as well as a pair of gloves, like I said, to make sure that you do not get this stuff on your hands. And you want to get it as tight as possible because you want this thing to seal, because these have to push together and these seal together in pairs. And pretty much just like that, you have your tank completely cleaned out and everything's looking nice and clean to your liking. The tank's obviously still going to be wet. You can't get it completely bone dry, but you can get as close as you can to bone dry. Now pretty much what we want to do lastly is clean out our mouthpiece. So we want to go ahead, it's the same process, we just go ahead and stick our napkin in there. You don't have to actually push it all the way through. Typically it'll just sit on the rim. It's pretty much just water vapor on this, but pretty much what happens is it turns gunky. So you want to make sure that's nice and clean. And then we can go ahead and put our mouthpiece back on, and our tank is reassembled. Now what we can go ahead and do is clean up the actual unit, but mine, typically, a lot of times what will happen is they won't leak like mine is, so you won't have to clean this part. But you just want to wipe that down. And you also want to wipe off the little coil right there too. You want to make sure that's clean, making good contact. Because sometimes the unit won't actually read that they're making contact and it won't let you vape. And that's pretty much it. Now that's the process of actually cleaning out the vape. It's pretty easy and simple once you get the hang of it. Now pretty much you have to do that quite a bit because these things get really dirty. Now what I actually do is I go ahead and take my juice. I obviously am going to wipe down my desk after this, and like I said, you want to wear gloves. Alright, so you can go ahead and take your favorite juice. I like actually taking the syringe here and just dripping it right in, and I push it in as far as it'll go, and then there we go. We start filling up the reservoir, and that's pretty much going to fill it with nice, clean juice compared to what was there before, so you're going to get a nice, fresh taste when you vape this time around. So pretty much that's what it is. Now we're actually taking a look at this. This thing actually looks pretty clean. The fluid in it doesn't really have any color to it. So it's actually looking as clean as it's coming out of the bottle. So this thing is not contaminated whatsoever anymore. So that's pretty nice. You know, it's actually going to taste a lot better than what it was before in my case. So that's kind of why mine was tasting a little bit odd. And there's also a little bit of contamination in there as well. So you definitely don't want that contamination in your lungs. Now pretty much what I do is I fill mine all the way up to the top, but a lot of people don't. This is a pretty small reservoir, so pretty much that's going to take a little bit of time. It's going to go pretty quick, so I just fill it up to the top, so I'm good for the day. But, you know, it's all about preference. Alright, one more squirt, and we should be good. And this 30 milliliter bottle gives us 15 refills. So that's pretty much the third refill I've done so far, and this bottle is actually almost down to the nub. So that's it. Now pretty much all you got to do is just wipe off the actual reservoir again, make sure if anything dripped off. You want to wipe off the mouthpiece again, make sure everything's nice and dry and sealed up. And just like that, you changed your vape. You got to just reopen the air vent, and then we can go ahead and do the test. See how good it is now. Oh, battery's low. Shit. Oh, no, it's not. Okay, hang on. This is acting a little bit funky. I actually have to get a new battery for this because my vape is getting... The battery in it's getting bad. Typically happens. Yep. Perfect. Nice and smooth. and no more bad taste. So that's pretty much how to clean out your atomizer on your unit. Now, pretty much to change out the coil, I'm not really sure how to change the coil, to be honest with you guys. I'm kind of new at this, but I'm going to guess it's probably a pretty simple process, and I'll do a video on that as well. I'm actually getting a new vape for Christmas, so this will no longer be mine. I really won't change out the coil on this unit because the coil on it's fine. Just the battery itself is going bad. But anyways, so after you do this, even though you wear gloves, make sure you wash your hands. Just in case anything seeped through the gloves, you want to make sure your hands are nice and clean. Because you don't want to make any contact with anything else, like food surfaces or whatever, because you don't want to be getting that intaked the wrong way. You want it to be going through your lungs, not your esophagus. So that's pretty much it. That's how simple it is to actually clean out a reservoir on one of these tanks. It might seem a little bit overwhelming at first, but it's a pretty simple process. And at the end, you're getting a nice clean vape sensation. Hope you guys enjoyed.